Oh, well, Templates, it's Littlefinger. Happy August 5th. It's Friday, and yes, time for another store review. Bonus, we've got Gravity Mode this weekend. Fun way to rack up some credits and grind some tanks that we might not like playing in regular battles. So, let's first off talk about the Battle Pass Operation Luna. You'll see that the new tank is the Rover. We've been over this many times. Everyone gets the top line for free. You have to pay to get the premium pass to get everything on the bottom line, which equates to about over 3,000 gold. And now looking at this now from a new perspective, as I start a new account on EU and I'm grinding up tanks, and what I love about this is the 5x bonuses. So just make sure when you get those, you use those strategically on tanks that you are grinding, because it really helps out. Now, about the tank itself, it's another light tank. We just had the Ranger last month. Two very similar tanks. The Ranger had 10 degrees of gun depression and a top speed of 60 kilometers per hour. The Rover's at 64, only has 9 degrees of gun depression. Everything else, gun handling and all that, is very similar, except we've got a little bit more damage per minute on the Rover here. It's a little bit distracting with this thing that keeps moving the whole game, but it's a fun tank. I just find it interesting that they've got two very similar tanks back to back. So let's jump into the store. We've got some tokens to talk about. We'll get to that in a second. But to finish out the Battle Pass discussion, $20 is going to get you 20 levels, the Premium Pass, and the license. So it gives you a quick jump on completing those missions. The Premium Pass is $5, and obviously that unlocks everything on those bottom two rows. The license, which is a fairly new addition, allows you to replace a mission. Let's go ahead and take a look at that just so I can explain it a little bit better. We'll go to missions here. All right, so the license allows you to unlock 2 weeks at a time, or go back as far as you need to. So that is a nice little benefit. As you can see, I've already unlocked the tank by able to finishing all of these missions. The replace button you can use one time per week with that license. What I recommend doing is this one on the top right is always the easiest. When I get it to 2 bars and collect those 2 bars, then I replace it. Why? Well, when you look at how you complete these, you can easily get up to level 60. But if you don't replace them, then you won't be able to complete this box here. By replacing them, you're going to get 2 containers if you finish all of the missions. All right, so that is the Battle Pass. Great choice. Got 2 days left on this guy. I like this little deal here. You're only getting 4,000 gold for your 15 bucks, but you're getting 3 attachments. Yeah, I don't know how much value to place on those, but you're going to get 3 mega containers that have a 5% drop chance. They have a lot of tanks in them, but you're going to get a mystery certificate, which guarantees you a tank, right? So there's several tier 10s. There are a lot of tanks in here. And yes, as you might guess, the further down the line here that we go, the more lower tier tanks that we have, which means the probability is that you'll get a lower tier 6 or tier 7 tank. But nonetheless, you're going to get a premium tank guaranteed for your $15. The Badger is new this week. 20,000 gold. Well, this gets you the attachment and the camo. The attachment is the one that says Tea Time here. 5x boosters are only good for the Badger. I think this is too much, 20,000 gold for this tank, to be honest with you. I do like the Badger, and I am not a fan of the British tank destroyers. AT lines. So I just don't think that it's worth 20,000 gold at this particular time. We've got the scenario here where you can get a little bit of gold and get a 20% drop chance. Again, I don't think that's a good deal either. I'd wait on the Badger and let it come back in the stores for a little bit less money. I'll go ahead and talk about the rest of the tanks when we get down to the tank section. Yeah, that'd be better just to get to the tanks and talk about tanks at that point in time. We do have here a rather rare sighting in the store, something that you can buy for your silver. This is just 50 rare combat boosters to improve your cooldown speed by 30%. So if you're in a category like me where you've got so much silver, you're just going to want to buy it. Why not? You don't have anything else to spend that 97 million credits on. And look at this. We're going to have several of them. So, yeah, we're going to rack up on these. As we're going to have one left, it looks like. So, let's finish that out. There we go. All right. But I wouldn't spend gold on this. Okay. Just look at some of these other offers here. I really haven't spent much time this morning looking at them. You know, it is so very tempting. I understand, guys, when you are new to the game and you're struggling to build up that collection of silver to buy these tanks, because once you start putting equipment on them, they get very expensive. But don't fall into the trap of paying gold for silver. It's just not worth it. To counter that, I would suggest making sure that you have premium time and get yourself a collector tank that has a nice credit coefficient and play it. Play it in gravity mode. You're going to make a lot of money a lot faster than spending gold. I just don't think it's worth it. So we've got one here. Doesn't look to be too horrible of a deal. It's going to give you 15 days of premium time. It's going to have 4,000 gold. And we know that this is at least 600 to 1,200 gold, somewhere in the 750 gold range. So not quite 500 gold per dollar there. So we ever look for anything at, you know, anything over 450, 500 is not a bad deal. Looking at tokens here. So this is something new. As you noticed in your daily personal missions, we've got tokens that we are collecting. So make sure you check these out, finish these, and then when we go to the store under tokens, we've got some choices here. So 6 days left. There's already been 2 days, so you could have collected 20 already. Another 60 available, so that's going to give you the opportunity to get 80. So you're not going to be able to purchase everything on this list. The Lowe's Sherman, obviously a nice little fun tier 6 tank, and 5x boosters, 10 of them. And what I like to see here is that they can be applied to any tank. So that is a wonderful deal for anyone that is grinding tech tree tanks. And then the collect them all containers is going to come with the pop-up attachment and 3 collect them all containers, 5% drop chance. So the one thing I'm going to talk about the collect them all containers a little bit later. And this might influence your decision as to whether or not you purchase this. But just note, with the collect them all containers, they come with a charm. You collect 7 charms and you're going to get 1,000 gold. So just keep that in mind when we talk about the collect them all containers a little bit later. The other one here, high potential. We've got 3 days of premium time and again 3 times bonuses here. So not as good as the 5x. And then we've got a little bit of coin. What I do like out of this one, we've got at least 200 gold sitting right here. So keep that in mind. And depends on how many of these coins you can collect over the next 6 days. I think I like the Lowe's Sherman the best. Not so sure about the collect them all. Maybe the credit boosters and high potential next. So Moving on. All right, so the new tanks this week, the Chrysler K. 5,000 gold by itself is not a bad price for this tank. However, I will tell you this. If I had to ask you right now, what is the most common terrain in Blitz on a random map? I think everyone would say it's going to be hills. Very few battles are fought in towns. This tank just does not do well on hilly terrains. You really have to look for flat, preferably behind buildings. It is a beast of a side scraper. Face hugging other tanks, it is a beast as well. Because if we can get to it here, you see here 310 damage, but what I want to look at 40 kilometers per hour with a hull turn rate of 43. The thing is very mobile for a heavy tank, and when you get in someone's face, it's very difficult to find a pinnable spot on this tank. But again, like I said, I find it difficult to play because most of the battles are in hills. It doesn't have great gun depression, rear mounted turret, so I struggle with it in that regard. But again, you get this thing in the right position, it is a beast of a tank. It is coupled here with the T26E3. You're going to get the camos for the Chrysler K. This is a side attachment to it, which puts the flag and the rails on it. I was just looking to see what the camo. I guess there's no camo for the Eagle. But let's check. Nope. So the 5X boosters are only good for the tank itself. So not a huge benefit for buying the bundle together. So only really a $500 savings. The 5X boosters are only good for that tank, and you are getting the camos. But T26 Eagle is a medium tank. It does hit pretty hard for a medium with an average damage of 225 at tier 7. Very characteristic of the American tanks. It's not going to have that super fast speeds. 42. We see 40 on a lot of the heavy tanks. It's going to have that 10 degrees of gun depression. So again, if I had to pick one of these two, it would be the Chrysler K for 5,000. We still have 6 days left on the Object 752. This is a great tank at tier 9. Very low profile, as you can see here. We've got the angles. It's a 2-shot auto loader. Quickly becoming one of my favorite tier 9 tanks. So take that for face value. But 17,500 gold for tier 9 is still very steep. It is the first time I believe it's been for sale for gold outside of crates. So be patient. In a few months it'll be back for a little bit less, which is where I would hold on to this until it gets down to the 12.5 range, I think. Just a few days left on the Unparalleled Platoon, which is a group of tanks that I wouldn't put together. You've got the tier 8 T26E5, also known as the Sheriff. It's classified as a heavy tank, but it does have decent mobility here. Let's look at this top speed, 40 kilometers per hour. There's your typical gun depression of 10 degrees and average damage there of 240. So this kind of plays kind of in that medium heavy role, I think. Certainly not as good as the Shark. And then you've got the T23E3, which is a tier 7 medium tank. Let's see what the speed is on it. It's 56. So this has got good speed, great reverse speed. What I don't like about it is your average damage of 160, meaning you are having to be on target, and this thing is a fast-firing, low-damage gun, which I don't typically like. I would pass on both of these, really. I know 6,500 is a good deal for a tier 8. If you don't have many tier 8 premium tanks, then sure, go for it. But I don't think you're going to find it one of those tanks that you're just going to want to pull out and play frequently. So moving on, we've got the Tier 6 German medium tank, the Schmaltrum. This is a fun tank. It's got a great accurate gun on it. And for what you get out of this bundle, with 14 days of premium time, you've got 10x bonuses that apply to any tank. And you've got 2 camo containers. Doesn't really have any value to me. But if we look at this tank here, average damage of 160, 44 kilometers per hour top speed, 10 degrees of gun depression on a German tank. Wonderful. And yeah, I find this to be a very nice little tank. So again, if you don't have very many premium tanks and you're looking for some extra premium time, maybe this tank can grind some credits for you. There's the Badger we talked about. Price is a little bit too high if you ask me. The FCM 50 ton. 30 days of premium is nice. The 5x boosters only apply to this tank. What to say about it? Top speed 51 kilometers an hour for a big, massive, heavy tank that fits in the medium category. It's got the mobility. It is big, though. It's hard to keep hidden, doing 225 average damage and 8 degrees of gun depression. It's a fun little tank, but again, it's not one that I pull out on a frequent basis. So I think $15 is a reasonable price, if not maybe a little bit high. The fast and reliable, we see this with the lower tier 3 tanks, comes with 1 collect 'em all container and 5x boosters that can be applied to all tanks, which is nice. But for $5, you can sell this for 2,000 gold, which is 400 gold per dollar. So not a super great deal on converting these back to gold. I'm going to pass on talking about the gold and premium time here. We've got the regular containers. Now, one thing I did notice here about the containers, we'll open this big one here, the German container, 10% drop chance, right? Which sounds pretty good. If you buy 14 containers, you're going to get about a 77, I think, somewhere in that range, chance of getting one tank out of those 14 containers. But when I look through this list of tanks in here, maybe half of them I would want to have in my garage. Panther 88, I could care less about. The Panzer, the German Bulldog, E75 TS, E25. Some of these tanks are not quite worth spending 15,000 gold on. You're going to end up with a bunch of boosters and whatnot from the containers that you don't get tanks out of, but just be hesitant on that for the 10% drop chance, which is kind of intriguing. Now, I did say we would go back and talk about the collect them all. There's one here for 15 containers for 7,000 gold. What I wanted to mention again, collect 7 gold charms and receive 1,000 gold. So if you do the 15 here, you're going to get 2,000 gold back on this. So you're really only spending 5,000 gold and giving yourself a 5% drop chance at one of these tanks. It's a long list. Again, you might be disappointed in what you get if you pull a scavenger or a nightmare. But if you buy 15, you've got about a 53% chance of getting a tank. So again, pretty low chance. A lot of gambling going on there. So just be pre-warned on that. And then I talked about it. There's only 2 days left of the super collection. The intriguing part here, each one of these crates has a slightly different drop chance. So when you buy this, you get one of each of these crates, and then you get to open each one individually and find out that you're unlucky and that you're not going to get the tank. But what I did notice was they've changed these to be some of the newer collectors that have been out here. The WZ122, the Type 57, T56, the 752. So some nice, the object. I'll be very happy to end up with that tank. Lanson's a nice little medium tank, you know, so you'll see here that they've updated this list here. So again, a very low percentage chance of coming away with a tank there. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up the store review, guys. Have fun, enjoy gravity mode this weekend, and of course, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.